Tonight,
our throne speech is a plan to Trump-proof our economy, to fix health care, and of course to help you with the cost of living.
the long list of promises Wapakonew's government is laying out in its annual throne speech. Also tonight, a welcome surprise.
I think it's going to be a major safety gain for us, for everybody that travels that highway.
Carberry welcomes a major upgrade to a notoriously dangerous intersection. Plus,
Our clients believe that Hydro is asking for more than it needs.
as public hearings get underway, why one consumers group is voicing opposition to Hydro's proposed rate increase.
The last 2 years have taught us this. Not only can we get through difficult things by working together, but that together incredible things are possible as Manitobans.
New promises around patient safety, a supervised consumption site, and new laws around dangerous weapons. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. There is a lot to unpack from today's throne speech from the province as it lays out its plans for the coming year. We have top story team coverage tonight. In a moment, CTV's Jeff Keel is going to walk us through the major takeaways, including a plan for a supervised consumption site here in Winnipeg. But first, CTV's Joseph Bernacki is starting us off with a major development involving an intersection on the Trans-Canada Highway near Carberry. And Joseph, it's welcome news for many who use it.
That's right, Marilee. Relief tonight for residents and leadership from the town. The Premier announced an overpass will soon be in the design phase at the junction of Highway 1 and 5.
Every time I go out and cross that road or at any time, I think of that bus.
Carberry's Robert Goodridge spent 35 years working at a maintenance job in town. He says he nearly had a collision at this intersection while operating a snowplow. Goodridge is hopeful an overpass will reduce the number of accidents going forward.
I came close to cutting the top off a car with that plow, and it scared me pretty bad.
On June 15th, 2023, a semi-truck and a seniors bus collided here, killing 17 people and injuring 8. This incident prompted calls for changes at the junction of the Trans-Canada Highway and Provincial Highway 5. Calls were heated Tuesday in the provincial throne speech as the province announced plans for an overpass.
This intersection is different now than any other intersection in Manitoba because of the loss of life and how sad it was to see those seniors passing away. It means that we have that extra responsibility to listen to community voices on this.
The Premier says the project could cost north of $100 million. Carberry Mayor Ray Muirhead says that's justified. People in the community are still talking about the tragic loss of life to this day.
Do you put a price on safety? I mean, safety has to come first. If there's anything, you know, they didn't pass away in vain, those people. I mean, it gives rise to what's being done today. So hopefully there will be countless people saved from this overpass.
He says the overpass will have safety benefits beyond the town.
I think it's going to be a major safety gain for us, for everybody that travels that highway, so we're happy about it.
The Premier says they remain in consultation with people from Carberry and Dauphin over design plans.
Joseph, did the province give a timeline on when work could begin on this overpass?
Marilee, it's unclear at this time. The province says they are on track to see land acquisition, then moving towards construction. At the throne speech, the Premier has asked people for patience so they can see this job through right.
All right, thanks for this, Joseph. There were other major promises in today's throne speech, and joining us now to break all of that down for us is CTV's Jeff Keel. Jeff, what are the other big takeaways?
Round 2 for a supervised consumption site, a ban on machetes, and no more sick notes.
In this year's throne speech, the Premier is trying again to establish a supervised drug consumption site.
This facility is ready to go.
The last one planned for Disraeli Freeway in Point Douglas was scrapped after public backlash to the location. Now, the province says one will be up and running in January, somewhere west of Main Street.
We've listened, and we want to ensure that people are getting the supports that they need in and around where people are using.
The Premier says there is a bit more consultation to do on the new location, but critics accuse him of ramming this new plan through.
We have been speaking out against a supervised consumption site, so when the Premier doesn't get his way, he just goes around the rules.
The speech was big on health care promises to eliminate sick notes for absences up to 7 days, offer a digital health card option, a new patient portal for lab results, allow pharmacists to provide birth control, and establish new laws to create a patient charter and mandatory OT starting with nurses and require a set patient staffing ratio. The Premier is confident his government has hired enough new healthcare workers to pull this off, saying it's now up to health authorities and hospitals.
We're going to say, we've given you the staff, now you have to solve this problem.
I think this is really encouraging with that, concern of, okay, well, what are the details of this?
Other highlights include a study to try and find new ways to save money on groceries, new rules to stop unfair rent increases. A Manitoba company will take over the Park Pass contract from a Texas firm, a livestock inspection program for beef operations, a northern airport scanner, and a ban on dangerous weapons like machetes in parks and buses.
Banning of weapons in public spaces is something that I know I and our council will absolutely support.
And there was what was missing from the speech. The Winnipeg Chamber of Commerce says they didn't dislike anything that was in there, but
if action is the currency of government, our economy got a little shortchanged in the throne speech.
Now, the speech also promised work will begin on the Highway 1 East Twinning project. It will focus on the first phase from the Ontario border to West Hawk. The Premier says motorists and cottagegoers can expect to see some clearing work next year.
Jeff, with all of these big promises, is the Premier still pledging to balance the books?
Yes, he is, but he says as of now, the province is on a narrow path to get there, so they will have to walk a fine line. He also pledged today no new taxes in the spring budget.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. The throne speech also included a special commitment for a Winnipeg high school. The province says it will fund a new scoreboard and bleachers at Sisler High School in memory of Darius Hartshorn. The 17-year-old football player passed away in October, several days after sustaining a neck injury during a game. The province says the upgrades are to support the family, team, and school community. One man is dead after he was shot by an RCMP officer in Saugeen First Nation. RCMP say officers arrived at a home in the community around 6:30 this morning in response to calls of a man armed with a knife. At the home, Mounties found a man holding a knife and say an officer shot him after what they describe as an encounter. The 29-year-old was taken to hospital but later died. RCMP say the officers involved were wearing body cameras, and that footage will be turned over to the Independent Investigation Unit of Manitoba. A group representing Manitoba consumers is raising concerns over Manitoba Hydro's request for a nearly 11% rate increase over the coming years.
Overall, the Consumers Coalition believes that these rate increases will be unnecessarily hard for many Manitobans.
That's Katrine DeLay with the Public Interest Law Center. The group is representing the Consumers Coalition at public hearings over the rate application, which began Monday. Hydro is asking for a 3.5% increase in each of the next 3 years. DeLay says, on average, that could end up costing the average natural gas customer an additional $137 a year. For electric heat customers, it's another $362 a year.
Our client's view is that Hydro is essentially asking Manitobans to trust them when it files an application that shows, in our client's view, not enough efforts to reduce costs internally and relies heavily on placeholder budgets for significant capital projects in the future.
In its lengthy petition to the Public Utilities Board, Hydro says the increases are necessary due to drought and low water levels, aging infrastructure, and to maintain the debt ratio. In an email statement, a Hydro spokesperson says the utility strongly believes its proposal enables Hydro to meet its mandate to provide safe, reliable, and affordable energy while meeting the future needs of Manitobans. It adds anyone struggling to pay their bills can request payment arrangements. First, there was Thomas the Train. Soon, Winnipeg could have Sammy the Snowplow or other names for the snowplows in our city's fleet. Mayor Scott Gillingham says the city is launching a contest to name its snowplows. It will be open to kids in our city to submit their naming ideas. It's actually an idea several other cities across the country have already put into practice. In Ottawa, 500 names were submitted by children, and some of the winning names are quite creative. They include Sir Plows-a-Lot, Tim Snowtons, Taylor Drift, and Plowy McPlowface. More information on the Winnipeg contest is expected in the coming weeks. Taylor Drift.
That's very clever.
That is my favorite, I think. But kids, get your thinking caps on. I can't wait to see what they come up with. But hopefully we won't have to be talking about any specific snowplows for a little bit yet, Colleen.
Well, of course, the mayor broke that news during the tree lighting ceremony with us last night, so that was very exciting. Snowy McSnowface, that makes me giggle a little bit. You might not be giggling at the weather outside, though. The temperatures have still been quite mild, and that's not going to change, but we're seeing different types of precipitation crossing southern Manitoba right now. A little bit of light rain currently falling both in Dauphin and in Brandon through the Interlake. A bit of a flip over to a few flurries. We could see one or the other make its way through Winnipeg yet tonight, so I'll have more on that and a look ahead to the rest of the week and the weekend. But for now, let's take a look at the current conditions through the Bathfitter Live Vibe first, shall we? Your Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. Now, let's get to those mild conditions, shall we? It's cloudy, dry, but as you saw on the radar, that could change. It's 3 degrees right now, a little bit windy, blowing around the camera. Winds out of the south-southeast at 22 kilometers an hour. The pressure's falling, and the humidity right now, merrily, is 52%.
Thanks, Colleen. A driver was airlifted to hospital with serious injuries following a crash yesterday. It happened on Highway 1 at Falcon Creek Road, just west of Falcon Lake. RCMP were called to the two-vehicle collision just before 6 p.m. One driver, a 68-year-old man, was transported to hospital by Stars Air Ambulance. The other driver, a 40-year-old woman, sustained minor injuries. The crash shut down the eastbound lanes of the Trans-Canada Highway for several hours Monday evening into the early hours of Tuesday morning. The crash is under investigation. An iconic building at Higgins in Maine is on track to get new life. The Indigenous Cultural Centre has gone into decline over the last 25 years, but by spring next year, it could have a new roof. And as CTV's Harrison Shin explains, the announcement is bringing a healing effect to the Indigenous community.
New hope is on the way to the Circle of Life Thunderbird House.
Everybody in the office was pretty ecstatic. Yeah, over a third of our employee workforce is Indigenous.
Director Peter Parkman's company Arrow will take on the repair of this building's copper roof. What started as a gathering space for the Indigenous community 25 years ago has become an eyesore at Maine and Higgins.
It deteriorated due to people stealing the copper from the roof during the pandemic. So that's the reason why the building has fallen into disrepair.
Thunderbird House was taken over by community advocates in May this year who said they wanted to restore its original purpose of cultural healing, gathering, and unity.
We've heard from members of the community that we didn't think we're aware of what was going on, and they've reached out and expressed their absolute joy that work is finally getting done.
Michael Red at Champaign once said in his blog, quote, "The health of Indigenous people in Winnipeg can be seen in the upkeep and maintenance of the building." He hopes for unity going forward.
I think the next step for the Thunderbird House is for both of the groups that have been active at the Thunderbird House, both at the board and at the Occupy level, both have opportunities to have their voices heard and their concerns raised.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
For the first time in more than 2 decades, Interlake families wanting to give birth with a midwife won't have to travel somewhere else to do it. 2 full-time midwife positions are coming to the region.
What it's really about is during one of those most special times in our lives, when we're welcoming new additions to our families, that you can do that closer to home.
The province says Selkirk's Interlake Eastern Health Services building is home to the region's first midwifery office. It's part of the province's previous budget to announcement to put $1.1 million towards midwifery services across Manitoba. Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care Minister Yusoma Asagara says midwives are the link between medical expertise and human connection.
Too long, families in this region have not had access to midwifery care. They haven't had access to the services and the expertise that midwives provide. And so expected parents have all too often had to travel elsewhere for the kind of personalized expert care that they really need.
Asagara says in total, 11 new midwife positions have been created since April 2024. Well, it will soon be a lot faster and easier to visit Europe. WestJet is expanding its global connections from our city with new direct flights. Starting this June, the airline will provide a weekly flight from Winnipeg to Reykjavik, Iceland. In addition, WestJet is also creating 2 new domestic routes for our city, a 3 times weekly service between Winnipeg and London, Ontario, and a weekly year-round flight from Winnipeg to Cancun. The city is making it easier to file development permits. Beginning today, you can visit a new online permitting portal for applications such as subdivision, rezoning, variance, and conditional use. You're also able to view the status of permits, submit documents, and make payments. Some applications still need to be submitted by email, such as parking management plans, design reviews, and alignments, but the city says those too will be online by the end of the year. People living in Morden will be placed under a precautionary boil water advisory next week. The city says the move is necessary because of work on a new pipe at the Morden Water Treatment Plant. Starting Monday at 8 in the morning, people are asked to boil any water used for drinking, preparing food, or brushing teeth. You're asked to bring the water to a rolling boil for at least a minute. The city says the advisory will remain in effect for up to several weeks. During this time, officials are asking residents to conserve water as much as possible. Well, don't be alarmed if you get an alarm on your phone tomorrow.
Stand by.
The province is planning to test the emergency alert system Wednesday afternoon. The test of the Alert Ready system will happen at 1:55 in the afternoon. Officials say the alert will be sent to televisions, radios, and compatible wireless devices. However, it warns not every cell phone will receive the alert due to device compatibility issues or cell tower coverage. The Manitoba government says the test is needed to ensure it will work efficiently during an actual emergency. This year's list of most stolen vehicles has just been released. Did your car top the list? Find out when we return.
Give a child a winter coat. You give them the means to go to school on a cold day, a chance to play outside, because no child should be freezing cold. Donate to Coats for Kids. Proudly sponsored by United Way Winnipeg and CTV.
Taking a look at the markets tonight, crude oil gained 81 cents. The Canadian dollar added 0.2 of a cent. Gold lost $8. The TSX dropped 39 points. The Dow Jones fell 498 points, I should say, and the Nasdaq is down 275 points. Canada's annual list of the most stolen vehicles has just been released, and while there has been a decline in auto theft, Canadians continue to bear a significant emotional and financial cost. Losses exceed $1 billion annually in claims. Topping the list is the Toyota RAV4, with 2,080 of those cars stolen. The Dodge Ram 1500 series is next with just over 2,000 trucks taken. The Honda CR-V is third with a little over 1,900. The Ford F-150 series is next with just over 1,800 trucks stolen. And rounding up the top 5 is the Honda Civic with just under 1,800 taken. Well, it appears Canada's job prospects are not just frustrating young Canadians, but highly skilled and educated immigrants are leaving this country within 5 years of landing. And the fear is the loss of this talent will hurt. CTV's Judy Trin delves deeper into the implications of the onward migration.
Canadian citizen, so it's just like it doesn't matter sometimes.
Ankit Mishra immigrated from India. He has a master's degree in international economics and expertise in AI. He speaks French, yet he keeps getting turned down for jobs in Canada. So he's looking overseas, and he's not alone.
Canada's most capable immigrants are, in fact, most likely to leave.
A new study by the Institute for Canadian Citizenship analyzes 40 years of immigration data and found that 1 out of 5 permanent residents leave Canada within 25 years. The most capable, those with master's degrees or PhDs, leave at twice the rate of someone with a bachelor's degree. They're more likely to move on faster.
The 5-year departure rate for immigrant healthcare workers is 36%. That's the same for scientists. The 5-year departure rate for experienced executives is 193% above average.
Human resource professionals say the government is good at recruiting immigrants, but needs to develop a policy to retain them, which includes recognizing their foreign work credentials.
The main thing is just really giving people that sense of inclusion, that sense of belonging, that sense that they can contribute their, bring all the whole assets, knowledge, skills, and experience they have.
The Institute projects that within 5 years, more than 20,000 immigrants will leave. Mishra will be among them.
In Canada, I'll probably never achieve my potential. But in a place like America, I always have a chance.
As Canada tries to diversify its economy in the middle of a trade war, immigration experts say the federal government's decision to cap immigration levels will further reduce the talent pool necessary to grow the economy. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Canada, the United States, and Finland signed a joint statement of intent in Washington today, focusing on the Arctic. U.S. Homeland Security says it will help protect the region from enemies and strengthen a commitment to allies there.
Thank you for coming to memorialize this significant event, not just for the United States of America, but for our great countries, Canada and Finland, and the relationship that we're going to continue to build.
The secretary was joined by Canada's ambassador to the U.S. and Finland's Minister of Economic Affairs. By signing the statement, they took the next step in building new icebreakers. The collaborative effort was known as the Ice Pact and was initiated during the Biden administration. Ottawa says the agreement will enhance collective capabilities to produce ice-breaking vessels needed to assert our polar and Arctic sovereignty. A key vote in the U.S. today, the House of Representatives voted overwhelmingly to force the release of the Justice Department files on sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Gabe Gutierrez has the details.
After months of delays and pushback from the White House, lawmakers in the House voted to compel the Justice Department to release all of its files on the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
The yeas are 427, the nays are 1.
The vote was nearly unanimous.
The momentum behind this did not come from politicians. It came from survivors and the public who demanded answers.
The vote comes after President Trump made a sharp about-face to back the bill once it became clear a majority of Republicans supported it. And he bristled today when the topic was brought up during his meeting with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince.
You just keep going on the Epstein files. And what the Epstein is a Democrat hoax to try and get me not to be able to talk about the $21 trillion that I talked about today.
But Trump supporters pushed the issue, and it's created a rift with one-time staunch MAGA backer Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
And he called me a traitor for standing with these women.
She joined Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie, one of the leaders of the bipartisan move to release the files.
We fought the president, the attorney general, the FBI director, the Speaker of the House, and the vice president to get this win.
And Epstein survivors in the shadow of the Capitol this morning, many of whom have been fighting for years to be heard and believed.
This is not an issue of a few corrupt Democrats or a few corrupt Republicans. This is a case of institutional betrayal.
So you have a choice to show millions of Americans whether you stand with us or with the powerful predators that are counting on your complicity.
Now that the bill has passed the House, it heads to the Senate. Days ago, it seemed unlikely to pass there, but now with that landslide vote in the House, that could change. The president has said he will sign the bill if it reaches his desk. Gabe Gutierrez, NBC News, the White House.
An Israeli soldier is dead and 3 others injured in what's being called a terrorist attack in the West Bank. The Israeli military says the soldiers were rammed by a car and attacked by people armed with knives. 2 attackers were killed by the soldiers, and Israel says explosives were found in the attacking vehicle. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attack. The incident comes a day after the UN Security Council backed President Trump's plan to secure and govern Gaza, a plan rejected by Hamas. The King and Queen of Sweden are attending a state dinner in Ottawa tonight, capping off day 1 of a 3-day visit to Canada. The royals were officially welcomed at Rideau Hall this morning. The King and Queen visiting Ottawa and Montreal this visit. The Canadian delegation, which included Chief Justice Richard Wagner and Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand, were among those at the ceremony. Wagner is standing in for Governor General Mary Simon, who's recovering from an illness. Sweden's longest reigning monarch and the Queen are making their first trip to Canada since 2006 and spoke today about the country's close relations.
Canada and Sweden are experiencing long momentum across areas such as defense, trade, science, climate, and energy. The people-to-people connections are strong. Some 300,000 Canadians have Swedish roots. And last year, many Swedish students went to Canada and numerous of Canadian students participated in exchange program in Sweden.
The king paid his respects at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Later, Canada and Sweden reaffirmed their support for Ukraine during an event this afternoon. The two countries are also set to launch a strategic partnership this week. The monarch also met with Mark Carney after the Prime Minister welcomed him to Parliament Hill today.
The motto, if I may, Your Majesty, the motto of the king is for Sweden with the times. And we're meeting at exceptional times when friendships such as ours, similar values such as ours between Sweden and Canada could not be more important.
Top government ministers from the Nordic country and representatives from dozens of Swedish companies are also here to focus on establishing closer ties with Canada on trade and defense. Winnipeg is playing host to a major curling championship this week. Plus, the Winnipeg Jets looking forward to hitting the ice back here at home after a lengthy road trip. Those stories and more when we return.
And sunshine and continued mild temperatures all throughout the long-range forecast, particularly Friday. Abundant sunshine up to +3. 2 on Friday, mix of sun and cloud. Similar sky conditions all throughout the weekend into next week. That mix of sun and cloud continuing. 5 degrees on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. Still up above freezing on Monday, which is still above normal with a high of 1 degree.
Newly re-signed Bombers head coach Mike O'Shea addressed the media for the first time today since the club announced he's back for another 3 seasons. And the coach says there were personal and professional motivations behind the decision.
There's obviously a whole pile of reasons, but we built something pretty damn special here, you know, so you'd like to continue that. You know, the season didn't work out the way we wanted, but you know, I think there's still a lot of growth to be had.
There was speculation Coach O'Shea may have been looking to go elsewhere, particularly Toronto, after the Argos head coach left for Ottawa. O'Shea says he was exploring an opportunity during his talks with the Argos without elaborating. But ultimately, he says his family has carved out a home for themselves here in Winnipeg, and he still sees plenty of potential with the blue and gold. But the fans may have played a bit of a part too.
Well, it's a great sporting city. The fans are unbelievable. You know, I've always said this, highly educated. They show up in droves. Obviously, we set an attendance record for our club, and all the sellouts, the support you get around the community is phenomenal.
The coming season will be O'Shea's 12th with Winnipeg. He has a franchise record of 117 wins to 77 losses. He led the Bombers to 5 straight Grey Cup appearances between 2019 and 2024 and 2 titles in 2019 and 2021. The Winnipeg Jets are looking to string together some wins on home ice tonight after 6 straight games on the road. And a healthy lineup against the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight is exactly what the doctor ordered. Here's CTV's Daniel Helmerson.
It's home sweet home for the Winnipeg Jets after a roller coaster of a road trip. The club only picked up 2 wins on a 6-game swing through the Pacific and find themselves in a 4-way tie for 3rd in the NHL Central Division heading into Tuesday night.
It was a long road trip. We were able to finish it off on a positive note, but you know, we're looking to get better every day.
The Jets are looking to build off a 4-3 shootout win in Calgary Saturday, and coach Scott Arniel says tight 1-goal games can make or break a season, especially when there's so much parity in the league.
Whatever the scenario is, teams are staying in games, and I think that everybody recognizes the importance of points, and when you get points, that helps you later on in the year.
And icing a healthy lineup should help too. The Jets' forward core is intact for the first time this season, with Morgan Barron returning from injury. He'll slot in on the 4th line, beefing up the team's center depth behind Mark Scheifele, Jonathan Toews, and Adam Lowry.
It's good to see that middle of the ice. We felt that having those 4 guys gave us strength through there, and we get to test it tonight.
Barron says running 4 healthy lines is a chance for the Jets to build chemistry on home ice against the visiting Columbus Blue Jackets.
We've obviously had lots of guys kind of coming in and out, and obviously a few guys there who didn't even start the season and have worked their way back in.
And Captain Adam Lowry says it's time for the team to find consistency on both sides of the puck.
It's great to do it for a period or half a game, but in this league you take half a period off, or you don't put together a consistent or as close to a consistent 60, the other team's going to hurt you.
Puck drop from Canada Life Centre goes at 7. Daniel Homerson, CTV News, Winnipeg.
The Hockey Report, brought to you by Santa Lucia Pizza. Check out the game day special.
Some of the top curlers in the country are here in Winnipeg this week for the 2025 Canadian Curling Club Championships. The event at Winnipeg's Granite Curling Club features both men's and women's club championship teams from each province. On the men's side, Manitoba is represented by Derek Anderson's rink from Gimli, and Lindsay Workington's team from Fort Garry Curling Club is on the women's side.
This is phenomenal for our club and the community. Like I said, we haven't hosted a national championship in Winnipeg of this scale in a while. They're pretty rare. So whenever we get the chance, it's amazing. And we have a lot of our members that are going to come and watch it. We have a team of 100+ volunteers that are making this event go round.
The championships run all week, wrapping up with the final Sunday. The club is also hosting some entertainment each night, including live music and comedians. You can find tickets and live scores by visiting curling.ca.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady back now with your complete Skywatch forecast. What are you tracking for us tonight, Colleen?
Well, a number of impulses or disturbances, if you will, are sort of trundling across the prairies this week and bringing different kinds of precipitation. Of course, we have temperatures that are hovering around freezing, a little above, a little bit below, depending on where you are. Now, we've had some light rain over this past hour, passing through places like Dauphin and Brandon, up in the Inner Lake, where it's similar temperatures, but we're seeing a bit of a flip over to some flurries. But also, I just picked up on this band of rain right here, or showers anyway, a little heavier passing to the north of Portage-La Prairie. There's the possibility we could see one or the other type of precipitation make its way through Winnipeg yet tonight. Drier right now in northwestern Ontario, but again, there's the outside chance of a little bit of precip there as well. So as we move through the rest of the night, after some intermittent snow across northern Manitoba, there's a little bit more yet in some areas. If you're still seeing any in Churchill, that will end before too long. Meanwhile, we have this precipitation moving across southern Manitoba tonight. And you see right there, a little bit of pink, if you will, and a little bit more over here. That suggests the potential for freezing rain, which also suggests the potential for slippery roads and highways. So watch out for that. Overnight, the precipitation is more focused here in the southeast than in the southwest. Some sunshine for tomorrow morning for the most northern part of the province, cloudy for the rest of us. As we get into the afternoon, that's when there's the increased potential for some precipitation in the form mainly of showers here in the southeast, but all across the province, really, there is the possibility of precipitation of one type or another, as you can see up in the north. It's more in the order of some light snow, and that will cross northern Manitoba over the next few hours, taking us overnight into Thursday morning. We will see a return to sunshine here in the south. Not so much, though, if you are in the northern half of the province. For tonight, cloudy. We drop down to around 0 along the way. There's that chance of either rain showers or flurries. Light winds out of the south at 10 kilometers an hour. Light south winds for the commute tomorrow. Cloudy, up 1 to 1 degree. A high tomorrow 5 degrees. Still quite mild for this time of year. The normal high for this time of year for the city is closer to around -2, -3 degrees for some perspective. Chance of showers in the afternoon, although it's not necessarily a strong one, but you can't rule it out entirely either. And you saw, though, those winds will shift. They'll come out of the west, but they don't strengthen. Again, any snow that's falling in the Churchill region now will come to an end before too long this evening. Cloudy behind that, down to -9. Cloudy for Gillam, Island Lake, and Thompson. Again, with that outside chance of a little bit of precipitation, down to -8 in Thompson. Light snow will resume in that city tomorrow, up to -3. Churchill, a mix of sun and cloud, and -8 degrees. Watch out for fog tonight in various parts of the province, including Norway House, Flin Flon, and the Paw. Those areas dropping down to -3, -4, and then only rising a couple of degrees tomorrow, staying sub-zero. Some snow starting to pick up again in those communities and further north in Lynn Lake. Again, that intermittent periodic light snow throughout the day. Fog overnight expected across the southwest. Brandon and Neepawa down to 1 degree. Dauphin 0. Swan River slipping just below freezing overnight. Fog should last till around the noon noon hour, actually, across much of the region, so that could reduce visibility. Swan River not so foggy there, a high of +1 tomorrow. Winnipeg in the southeast, cloudy tonight with a little bit of that mixed precipitation passing through. Down to 0 for Winnipeg and all the communities surrounding the city, and to the east as well. Barons River, that's where there's the greatest potential for a few flurries tonight. You may see some fog there too, taking you into around the noon hour. Cloudy for the rest of us here in the southeast. Highs between 5 and 7 degrees. For Winnipeg, 5. Cloudy tonight in northwestern Ontario, down to -3 to -4 degrees. And then there is the potential for some mixed precipitation there with highs between 2 and 4. To our weather photos we go. And this stunning photo, this is up in northwestern Manitoba near Sheridan. That photo was taken by Clifford. Really nice there along those train tracks. And then this photo too, quite nice here in Winnipeg. That is in Charleswood, to be specific. That photo was taken by Lily, and you can always send us yours to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
There's been a stark rise in hypertension in children in the past few decades. 3 factors that may be behind that increase. Next in Medical Watch. Ovarian cancer is the leading cause of gynecological deaths in Canada. Every year, 110 women in Manitoba are diagnosed, and in most cases, it's in late stage and difficult to treat. But a new drug is offering new hope. And joining me now to explain is Dr. Christine Robinson, a gynecologic oncologist at Health Sciences Centre here in Winnipeg. Dr. Robinson, good to speak with you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
First, maybe tell us a bit about this new drug, Elahere, and what it offers Manitobans.
So it's a new drug that can provide some overall survival, which is a big deal when it comes to the cancer world, to a certain population of ovarian cancer patients that have actually stopped responding to the most popular type of chemotherapy that we offer. And so certain patients have a special receptor that this new drug will target to provide survival benefit for them.
This drug was approved under a new program initiative called the Target Zero. Can you tell us a bit about the program and what it aims to do?
Yeah, so once Canada approves a drug saying that it's safe to use in patients, it does take a lot of time before the drug becomes available to patients and covered by provincial drug programs. And so what this Target Zero initiative aims to do is to decrease the amount of time between those two things. So, you know, a lot of times patients have to wait still a long time before they can get access to the drug in Canada, even after it's been approved.
And gaining access to new treatment is a real challenge for cancer patients. What impact could improved and, quicker access have on outcomes?
Well, certainly, these patients in a recurrent setting, which is the patient population we're talking about with this drug, doesn't have a lot of time, right? So we're in a recurrent setting. Any disease, could progress very quickly in that setting, and patients, need access to these drugs in order to improve survival and make their lives better. Not only survival, but also quality of life is important with these patients too.
Talk to me a bit about some of the challenges gynecological cancer patients have right now.
So, getting access to care is always challenging, right? So, in Canada, as you know, we have a public health system. And so sometimes getting timely access to biopsies and CT scans so that diagnosis happens quicker is a challenge. We, as an oncology group, try to get patients in very quickly to see us. But then there are delays sometimes after we see them about getting access to OR time. There's only so many of us and so many resources that we have. And then once we start offering treatment to patients with chemotherapy and new drugs, then getting access to those drugs is not always possible, for various different reasons. And so those are the big challenges we face here in Canada.
So a new drug definitely helping in that fight. Dr. Robinson, thank you so much for your time and insight tonight. It was great speaking with you.
Thank you very much.
Across the globe, high blood pressure in children has nearly doubled over the past 2 decades. A new study found back in 2000, rates of hypertension in boys and girls hovered around 3%. But by 2020, those numbers had risen to around 6%. Doctors say children with hypertension are at a greater risk of developing heart disease later in life. Experts say dietary factors in children, such as consuming high levels of sodium and ultra-processed food, can contribute to their hypertension risk, along with a sedentary lifestyle. The study published in the journal The Lancet Child and Adolescent Health. The Washington State Health Department reported Friday a resident has been hospitalized with bird flu. It's the first reported case of bird flu in a human in the U.S. in 9 months. Officials also say the patient is infected with a strain of the virus that hasn't been seen in humans before. It's unknown how the older patient caught the virus. Health leaders are contacting people who may have been in close contact with the man to check for symptoms. Artificial organs are not yet reliable for transplants, but they're getting better for practice. A team in the UK has created a line of highly realistic artificial organs. Right now, there are models available for fields including cardiology, ENT, and urology. The team says using models will make surgical training more ethical, cheaper, and less risky.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
An all-Canadian country rock tour has its sights set on Winnipeg. Plus, the baddest and bravest buck their way into Westman once again. Spotlight is next.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Christmas with Johnny Reed.
2 powerhouse bands are hitting the highway together, and they're coming to Winnipeg.
And this old car has turned from red into rust.
The award-winning group Doc Walker from Westbourne, Manitoba, and the Roadhammers have announced a cross-Canada tour next year. The Till the Wheels Fall Off tour begins this January before reaching Club Region Event Center on Valentine's Day. The Juno award-winning bands are set to deliver a night filled with old-fashioned country rock energy. Ticket information is available on both bands' websites. Top bull riders from across the country will soon buck their way into Brandon once again. The Professional Bull Riders Canada's Cup Series is coming to Brandon next spring at the Assiniboine Credit Union Place. On May 1st and 2nd, fans will witness 8-second rides as courageous athletes face off against their 1,800-pound opponents. This will be the only event in Manitoba as part of the Cup Series next season. Tickets for the event go on sale this Friday at Ticketmaster.ca. The curtain is almost ready to rise on Manitoba's Opera's 53rd season, and its opening performance is something that has been called one of the greatest operas ever written. Toss. Now, this is footage from 2010, the last time this production was performed by Manitoba Opera. Tosca is a political thriller with a story featuring lovers, jealousy, and betrayal. And that story is told while featuring some breathtaking music. You'll have 3 chances to see Tosca on Saturday, November 22nd, Wednesday, November 26th, and on Friday, the 28th. For tickets and information, go online to mbopera.ca. An upcoming outdoor comedy festival in Winnipeg has added new afternoon shows. The Great Outdoors Comedy Festival, a 3-day event in Assiniboine Park, has added afternoon shows to its weekend dates. This includes American comedian Jeff Arcuri and Emma Willman, who will take the stage on July 18th. The following afternoon will include Adam Ray's Dr. Phil Live and performances from Big J. Okerson and Donnell Rawlings. Afternoon show tickets go on sale this Friday. Your primetime lineup starts at 7 with E-Talk and The Big Bang Theory. MasterChef Canada heats things up at 8. And catch The Traders Canada at 9 and The Pit. Wrap things up at 10. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
The CTV Primetime lineup is brought to you by Strictly Amish, exclusively in Arbor, Manitoba.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&Teak Spa Salon.
Well, the normal high for this time of year for Winnipeg is -3. We reached +3 today. On this day a year ago, though, warmer, 5.7, but nowhere near that record high. Tonight, we slip down to around 0, chance of showers or flurries. Cloudy on Wednesday, not so much a mix of sun and cloud, more cloudy. There's the chance of showers in the afternoon. Sunshine on Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud Friday, right through to Monday with temperatures well above normal and above freezing.
Thanks, Colleen. Today, computers are just an everyday part of our lives, something many of us hardly even notice anymore. But decades ago, the sight of a computer was something special, and 2 Winnipeggers hope it will be once again. Check out, this is the Manitoba Computer Museum. It's a nonprofit dedicated to classic computers and video game console history. Right now, the museum doesn't have a permanent home, but organizers hope to have one in the future and offer exhibitions, classes, and hands-on experiences with the vintage machines. And they hope you can help them acquire even more of those old computers.
We have an open call for donations for those computers that happen to be in your basement, happen to be just kind of sitting around doing nothing. That computer has a story to tell, and the Manitoba Computer and Gaming Museum hopes to tell that story.
The museum plans to have more pop-up events in the weeks to come. For more information, you can check out mcgmuseum.ca. I remember a lot of those.
Oh,
games.
Me too.
I still have a couple working ColecoVision video games at home. We pull them out for fun sometimes, but
flashes me back to Golden Gate Junior High.
Yeah, right?
St. James Peeps, I'm talking to you.
All right, have a good night.